welcome back to Middle Siggy's Homestead, and in this video I'm going to show you how to do the final steps of removing this tub from taking off the drains to the plumbing here, because we need to get this tub out of here so we can finish our tile job up at the top and work this space. But there's a few tricks to this one, and I got a couple of tools I'm going to show you, some homemade, some that you can buy, but either way you are going to need a tool without doing a bit of destruction. And with that, let's kind of get into it. But before we do that, make sure you like and subscribe down below so that YouTube knows to help other people find this video just as you have. With that, let's get into it. So when we go to remove a tub like this, we need to be aware of how the tub is connected to the tile or the bathroom, right? In some cases like this, because this is a freestanding tub, the only thing really holding this here is the plumbing that's underneath the tub or the caulking, right, along the seal here where the tile was. Now, I busted all the tile out and took out all the caulking, and so that was a pretty easy removal. But now we got to deal with these drains, and for doing this, we're going to need some special tools, and we're going to need to think the process through just a little bit. So let's deal with the supply line or the hot and cold water first, and then we'll deal with this drain part second. That way, if we do something, we at least have some place for the water to go should we run into a problem. So let's deal with that. Okay, so if you see there the faucets, right, down underneath those faucets, in my case, I've got some copper plumbing, and that goes to the spigots that are up underneath this tub. And these spigots are directly connected to the water line right here and right here, right? So hot and cold. And there are no shutoff valves in this sequence, right? This is coming up from my basement where the water comes into my house, and it is running directly into that faucet. Now the problem with that is you just can't go and shut off a valve here, disconnect the hose lines to the tub and kind of move on. We're gonna have to shut the water off to the entire house, and we're gonna have to do something with these plumbing lines, because if we shut the water off, we cut these lines to be able to pull this out. If we turn the water back on, water's gonna go everywhere. So my plan for solving this problem specifically is I'm gonna go and shut the water off to the house, let the water drain out, and then I'm gonna come up here, cut these lines, and go ahead and put a little plastic cap, because this is CPVC, where I'm gonna cap the ends temporarily while I'm doing my work. Later on then I'll cut that cap off, and then I'll go back and put in some actual shutoff valves and then run them into the faucet. So let's go ahead and shut off the water and kind of go through that whole process. Okay, so I'm in my basement now, and this is where the main water line comes into your house. And if you're not sure how to shut your water off in your house, stay tuned for a future video, and I'll put a link down below once I create it. But I'm going to talk about all your water supplies and how the house works and all that kind of stuff. But for right now, what we would need to do is kind of flip that lever down there. That's going to shut the water off to the house. So I'm going to do that right now. And now the water is shut off. So now what we gotta do is we gotta let all the water drain out of the pipes so that we can work on them. And the easiest way to do that is to open up a faucet down at the lowest level and at the highest level of the house. Okay, so now what you'll see that the water's turned off. I'm gonna turn on my hot and my cold. And as the water drains out of my house, you're gonna see that the water pressure is gonna just kind of slowly degrade down. And if you open up a faucet up at the top part of your home, second floor, just somewhere else for the water to vent a little easier, then this will actually go a little quicker. But you want to wait till all of the water is essentially out of your pipes before you go and you cut anything or work on any of your plumbing. Okay, now because this is CPVC and we've got the water now shut off, we can take ourselves like this little pipe cutter and we can put it on our pipe, and we can go ahead and cut this pipe and disconnect it. And expect a little bit of water to maybe come out of there. You know, it's not going to be 100% dry, but that's going to disconnect your pipe from the other side. Now, what I've already done, and unfortunately I'm going to have to put it in another video because it'll make this one too long, is I put a little plastic cap or a CPVC end onto this pipe, and I'll show you that a little better. And I basically glued that on. I let it sit for about 30 minutes for the glue to dry, and then that kind of sealed it out. So now there is water pressure on this side, and there's obviously nothing over here. And now that this is disconnected for both the hot and the cold, you can see both sides are disconnected. I now can actually take this off and pull the faucets out. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this one off of this side. Again, my water is turned off and I've drained everything out and I've capped the ends. Do not do this while your water is on. You will have one heck of a mess. going to go ahead and... All right. And so that disconnects that from our tub, and that should make that a little easier to kind of pull out of here once we disconnect the drain. So the next piece that we have to worry about is this overflow drain right here and the drain on the bottom, right? Now those, of course, then come down underneath this side of the tub, and they kind of feed up. And for this, for the over drain, and you'll see that this comes down underneath the tub here. In case for this drain, you'll see it's one of these little pop-ups, and it doesn't really want to come out. So the way that you get these out is you hold them up halfway, and you can turn it counterclockwise while it's halfway up. If you turn it all the way up to if you pull it all the way to the top, you can spin it almost indefinitely and it won't do. So I'm going to put it back down a little bit, and then you can unscrew it. And the reason why that works that way is you'll see that there's a little groove here, and that groove, when you lift it all the way to the top, there's an open track that allows it to spin all the way around. But if you put it halfway down into that groove, now it's going to spin that post because that screw is now in that groove. So that's how you get that out of there if you have one of those type of pipes. So the next thing I want to show you is this is your normal drain, and it's got like the plus or the star in there. And what we need to do is we need to spin that drain in a counterclockwise motion, and that will hopefully unscrew from the pipe down below. So they do have a special tool for getting in there, and I'll put a description down below so you can find this online. But it's got a small head if you want to do this on, let's say, a sink or a faucet, and it's got a big head for the tub type here. But the idea is this thing's got these like little grooves that kind of fit down into that, and it fits in that drain pretty well. And if you twist that, you're not really going to get it to spin. It's pretty stuck in there, especially if this tub's been here for a while. And mine's been here for quite some time. But the benefit here is on the top of this tool, it has a socket spot, right? So I can take my socket now, and I can put it into that tool, and now I can use the socket to help to loosen that and get that open. All right, so let's give this a try, right? All right, so notice I'm spinning that, and it's coming undone pretty easily. And this is your best case scenario, I'm going to be honest with you, is that hopefully this thing's going to come out. Be careful with this tub, I don't want to scratch it. And you can see it's really just a threaded drain flange that goes into the plastic that's on the underside. And this stuff here is really just plumber's mud that has dried up over, well, in this case, about 20 years. Okay, so here's that tool that I just used. You saw me take the drain out with it, and I put this in the description down below, but I want to show you an alternate. Let's say you can't get this, is if you have a piece of 1-inch pipe, you could cut into the edge that same kind of grooved pattern. Let's see if I can get the camera to focus on that correct. If you cut that same kind of groove pattern, and what that's going to allow you to do is put that pipe into that same piece. It's going to fit into those holes. And the benefit to this pipe is if you don't have a socket, let's say, to do this, this would allow you to put this pipe into that hole and take your monkey wrench, put it onto that pipe, and go ahead and use that monkey wrench and pipe to kind of get that guy out of there, especially if it's a really stubborn drain. Now, again, if you're going to be putting that much force on it, you need to be careful that you don't go ahead and break the fiberglass tub or something like that. The last piece to get this out of here, obviously we got this drain piece out, is I got to take this overflow drain out of here. Now, this one is pretty simple. It's just 2 flathead screws here, so I'm going to get my flathead. Here we go. Is our trusty flathead screwdriver, just like we used when we were doing our tile. And I'm just going to go ahead and pull these screws out. There's some pretty long screws in there, and there's 2 of them. And with these 2 out and the faucet side done, this tub should be disconnected, and I should be able to lift this out of here with the help of some other fellas. Like that. And that's all that is, just 2 screws holding that in there. And you'll see that this is just the plumbing in it. It loosely moves away from there. Now, if I got that all correctly, that drain should be disconnected. This water or the spigot should be disconnected, and I should be able to lift this tub up, which I can, and you can hear some of the remaining tile went ahead and fell down. So now I'll go ahead and get a few of my neighbors to come over and help me pull this out, and we'll move this out of the bathroom. So with that, that's pretty much what you got to do to take the tub out of there. Now, if you are really stuck in a pinch, you could always go at it with an oscillating saw and cut the plumbing and maybe try to tear it out that way if you're looking to save your tub. Again, I'm going to reuse this tub in my future bathroom after it's remodeled, so I'm doing my best to try to take it apart and be careful not to break anything. But if you're just gonna go for destruction, you can definitely use an oscillating saw, just cut the drain out, and that's probably the last tip for you. I don't know if I would go and smash it with a hammer. I don't think it's gonna work too well, but this will definitely take care of the problem. So with that, I hope this answers your question of how do you get these tubs out. The smaller metal tubs are exactly the same. They're just a different size. They may have the metal frame into the wall, and in a future video, I plan on remodeling my other bathrooms. I will definitely show you that, but it's the same concept. You're just gonna, those just sometimes have a little flange on the side of them, so they're up into the drywall or the tile. So you have to take the wall out first before you can get the tub out. In this case, because it sits in a hole, I can take this one out now. So with that, hopefully this was helpful. Please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks again for watching.